morning, my sisters and brothers. I was out and about very early, and it was a spectacularly beautiful morning, cool and crisp and cloudless. And I thought to myself, we are all in this beautiful morning together. I watered my garden. My garden is very happy after yesterday. I thought the flowers bloom for all of us in this together. And that could be the title of this morning's sermon. We're all in this together. But it isn't. Although that will come up rather frequently as we move forward here this morning. That's not the title. Actually, the sermon you're about to hear this morning, I wrote this sermon in my head driving home from Shaw's last night in my car. I had gone shopping because I needed birthday balloons for our daughter's birthday party this afternoon. And while I was driving, I turned on the radio. And it was all Minneapolis. Commentary, critique, reports, news from Minneapolis. And I realized that George was at the heart of this morning, and that the sermon I had written earlier had to go. It's in the trash can in my office back on the boat. And here's the new one, for better or for worse, after this week's events. So the sermon has a new title, and the new title is an odd one. The new title is The Mask. And the question is, these masks that we are all wearing when we go about, the question is, what might that mask symbolize? If we think of it as a metaphor, is it a symbol of the fact that we are in trouble or getting out of trouble? What I'd like to say this morning is that we could think about these masks that we're all wearing as a symbol of our shared, we are in all of this togetherness. A symbol of that the mask is an in your face or on your face clear statement of our one bodiness, of the panness of our existence, that we are all together at all times, and that is our true reality. That in this event in which we find ourselves, this mask event, we are equal, absolutely equal in our reality and our responsibility to each other. And I think to myself, and I'm sure you've already gotten there, this is surely a Pentecost truth. That the body is one and has many members. That we are all members of one body. This is the scriptural stuff. That though many we are one body, and that we are all made to drink of one spirit. We're all in this together, equally masked. All flesh, all sons, all daughters, all old, all young, all men, all women, Chinese, American, black, white, yellow, red, Minneapolis or Boston. We're all in this together. And we always have been from the Genesis. I remember hearing some early COVID conversations that went like this, way back in the beginning. They are in really bad shape, we would say, in Wuhan, or maybe a little later in Italy, but we're fine. Well, not so much. We're all in this. It's true that Minneapolis isn't Boston either. What happened there didn't happen here this week. We might hope that we're not the same, that we're not in that together, but we would be wrong to hope that. That's our reality too, and we too are in it. If we have learned anything from the all wearing of masks, it should be the symbol of we're all in it together. And the question out of those considerations that I posed for you this morning is this. Could this event be leading us to a new Pentecostal new normal? Is there a connection between our masked togetherness and the words of the scriptures for Pentecost. I mean, after all, Jesus lived his life in our we are all one reality, whether Samaritan or centurion or leper or widow or orphan, his healing and his saving and his loving, his dying and his rising and ascending knew no barriers. All were one. Did he come to live his life to name a new normal for us? And my guess would be that your answer to that, if I had you in a circle and asked the question, would be, yes, Reverend D, he came to name a new normal. And I'm going to challenge you with that and say, I really don't think so. I think Jesus came to show us and to call us to what has always been the truth and what has always been the way, that we are all together in this, and that has always been the ground level truth that creates a just and merciful world. That's always been true. That's the Jesus normal. That's the God from the beginning normal that we would wish for and hope for, with no divisions, no tops, no bottoms, no sins, no sinless. None of that works when we start separating people into categories of top and bottom. It leads to things like what happened in Minneapolis. We human beings have been, some of us, sometimes, appallingly unable to live the truth of our shared in it together lives. All you have to do is think about the history of chattel slavery in this country to realize that we have not always gotten the original Genesis Jesus normal, that we're all in this together equal. Just one quote from the website. Protests over George Floyd's death continued for a fifth day Saturday, following another night of violence, and other cities across the country joined in. Arrests have been made across the country. These things impact all of us. If you Google Minneapolis, you see fires of fury, not fires of the Holy Spirit. And some suggest that if life in Minneapolis or anywhere else in this world were just and merciful, where people work together to heal and love, this might not have happened. So we are in this, and we are part of what happened. Many, many people would deny any participation. It's way too easy to say, I did not do this, I would not do this, I do not understand this, this is not of me. But we can't do that if we expect to go forward. We can't do the Wuhan thing and say, well, we don't have the virus here. We don't have the racism virus here. How could we say that? All you have to do is where murders happen in the city of Boston, and 80% of the hits will be in Dorchester. However vastly far removed each of us is from anything like behaving in this event, however nonviolent and good we know ourselves to be, we simply can't pretend this doesn't belong to us and that we have no response. By our very humanity, we are part of one another. So I'm going to offer you this. I believe Jesus knew his job, and it was not to create a new normal, but to model the norm that has always been the only way of justice and mercy and truth, and to empower us to create that normality in what is a deeply skewed reality. When we brutalize the reality of how God would have us treat one another, we are very, very close to some kind of original sin that destroys. And when we honor that truth of our shared reality, we're on the Jesus way. Repeatedly, we have realized, you know this, we've said this too many times, you know this, that this pandemic has the power to change us, to fire us up, to blow through the world a new tenderness towards others, however vastly different they may be. My confession to you, I'm not a nicer person now. I am not a nicer person now, but I do behave more nicely. And that is a start. I seek and speak into relationships that I might yesterday have driven past. There was a man at Shaw's, his name is Oscar, who stopped his work and fished out my balloons for me, and at least I had the grace to say thank you and use his name, Oscar. All in this together. Not all analysts believe that this change will stick, but for the church and for us, this is a place where this might actually take hold and repower us for tomorrow. Research has shown that parishes that are most deeply committed to mission and outreach, they're the parishes that thrive. You're already committed to that and frustrated by having some of that put on hold. Who would have thought that the masks which tend to hide us could also be broadcasting a profoundly Pentecostal truth? One commenter noted, in these demanding forward-facing times, whatever God's Spirit is doing, it will probably not be characterized by tidiness. I have to confess that made me laugh as I straighten out all the papers on my desk and make sure they're lined up to try to restore some sense of order to my life. Messy, it's a great big global mess right now, and it's our job to sort it out. All of us, all of you, different in your variety of gifts, but all wearing masks of one and the same body in our beloved humanity. Committed to our baptismal promises, this is a Sunday where we renew them, of resisting evil, bringing good news, serving all persons, and if we only could do that one last thing of respecting the dignity of every human being, that's the Jesus normal. So our response to our baptismal vows, to our commitment to the normal that God would have us live, is simple every time. I will with God's help. I will pursue my Jesus normal. I will really try, and I know that so will Trinity Parish. And I end with the words from the gospel this morning and all mornings. Peace be with you. Amen.